morning. This is a sermon just for you children, because I was thinking that for the past couple of weeks, the adults have been having all the fun. They've had a sermon, and a whole worship service that was tailored specifically to them, the adults. And so I thought that the children had no sermon that was specific to them. So I said, maybe I should sit down and just tailor a sermon just for you. So here we go. In our gospel passage, the gospel of John we'll be dealing with today, it is John, we'll be reading from John 20, verses 19 through 31. And this is the passage that deals with the disciples after the resurrection. But I want to concentrate on verse 19. But before I do that, let me give you some context. Let me put this in perspective for you. You know that last week was Holy Week. We commemorated the death of Jesus Christ on Friday, Good Friday. And then on Sunday, there was the resurrection. Jesus came out of the tomb. God brought Jesus out of the tomb. This is a glorious celebration for us as Christians. And so on that day, there were so many emotions and feelings on that day, because nobody was expecting Jesus to rise from the dead. And so they were confused. The disciples, Mary Magdalene, and everybody, they were confused. They didn't know if to celebrate or what, because this is something that they had never expected. So they didn't know how to react, now that with this resurrection. And so the evening, they went to this house and they said, well, listen, we are going to just lock ourselves off in this house. And so they bolted all the doors and the windows. But the reason they were doing that is because now that Jesus is dead, and as far as the Romans were concerned, Jesus was such a troublemaker, and they were his followers, so they were thinking that the Romans are going to come after them next, because they say, well, okay, his friends, he had this band of guys who traveled with him, and they're probably going to pick up where he left off now that he's gone. And so they were in the house, and suddenly Jesus appeared in the house. And you're probably saying, well, Pastor George, how did he do that? We say, well, he's Jesus and all, he can do that, He was raised from the dead. This is probably small potatoes for him. But back to the subject. So, and he came in, and the first thing he said to them was, peace be with you. And he said that because he's looking at into the scared faces of all these disciples. And he wanted to put their mind at ease. And so he said, peace be with you. And so when we hear the word peace, we associate it with feeling relaxed and free from worry. And so I want to ask you, when do you feel most peaceful? Is it immediately after school? Is it when you're playing your favorite sport or your favorite instrument? Is it when you're comfortable just lying on the couch watching TV? Do you feel most peaceful when You're lying on the couch and you with a book. Or do you feel most peaceful when you're with mom or dad or grandma or grandpa and they're reading a book to you? Or better yet, you're lying on the couch with grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, and you're reading to them. You found a book that you like so much and you want to share portions of this book with them. Because you find it funny or you find it interesting in some way, and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to read a portion of this book to mom or dad. Is it one of you feel most peaceful on one of those days, when it's rainy, when it's raining outside, and you stand at the window, with your nose up against the window and you're watching the rain fall. You watch the puddles in the front yard or on the street, and the cars pass and they splash the water. Is that when you feel most peaceful? Is it when you're maybe just sitting with your friends, just talking? Nothing in particular, just talking. But here's what I used to do. When I was growing up, we would just lie out if we're not playing cricket or anything, you just lie out in the field. Or you on the front stoop and you're watching up in the sky at the various cloud formations. We used to do that all the time. That's universal, I think, kids all over the world probably do that. But what I want you to know is that before Jesus went to be with the Lord, there were at least 3 occasions where he visited the disciples, and and that's the way he greeted them. He said, "Peace be with you." And he did it because he understood that they were really confused in this moment and had no idea what they were going to do. And so he wanted to leave this peace with you. Peace is such an important word. It's such an important idea. And more important, that Jesus didn't just leave it with the disciples. He leaves it with us. He leaves that same peace with us. And peace is so important. It's such an important word that there's a word for it in almost every language in the world. And so I went digging and I found a few that I'm going to share with you. In French, peace, when you say peace, you say paix. In German, it's Frieden. In Hebrew, it's shalom. You're probably familiar with that one. In Zulu, South Africa, it's ukutula or nokotula. Either one of those words is used for peace. In Spanish, it's paz. In Dutch, it's vrede. In Italy, many of you probably know this too, is pace. And in Japanese, it's hewa. And so, no matter what language it is, no matter how we pronounce it, what is important to understand is that Jesus gives us a spirit of peace. And so what I want to ask you to find some time in your busy day to share that spirit of peace with your friends, your family, with your neighbors, with everybody you meet. And I want you to share that not just today or tomorrow. I want you to take that spirit of peace with you for the rest of your life. Share it with somebody. You might find that it does you a lot of good too. Amen? Amen.